Well, for more on what's happening in Somalia, we can speak to David Otto. He's a counter-terrorism and security consultant with TGS Intelligence Consultants here in London. Thank you very much for coming in to speak to us. This attack bears all the hallmarks of an Al-Shabaab attack, and yet they're denying it. Why?
Mariam, this is the mother of all bombs, the animosity of this just reminds us of what happened, in 1998 when we had the twin bombs in the U.S. embassies of Tanzania and also in Kenya. So I think, this is going to be one of the biggest ever bombs that, the new Somalian government, has actually witnessed. And reminds us of also the 9/11 attack, in New York City. So, I don't know how, the new government is going to cope, with this kind of attack. But, it is really, really devastating. And the amount of lives that have been lost, would even frighten a group like Alshabaab to deny responsibility. But I think, it covers all the hallmarks of Alshabaab if you look at the activities that they've been doing for the recent weeks and months.
And how does it work with Al-Shabaab in Somalia? Are they a monolithic group, or are they becoming more splintered, more fragmented, more decentralized, as we've seen with ISIL and Al-Qaeda in recent years?
How would you describe the group? Al-Shabaab, is an organization that's split into two, just about a year ago when ISIL came into being. And, some of the factions, formed, the Islamic State of East Africa. And Al-Shabaab itself, which really wants to be kind of a Somalia-based organization, despite the fact that it has links with Al-Qaeda core and works alongside with groups like Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. They really want to show that, they're kind of, a Somalia-based organization. But they have different factions. And as I said, they've got the ISIL faction, which, is actually fighting against, the Al-Qaeda faction. So, it's a little bit difficult for us to determine which of the groups. But this really bears the hallmarks, because if you look at the recent attack that occurred on the 11th of September 2017, when Al-Shabaab attacked, a Somalian military base, it also used a similar tactics, of using a car bomb, to strike against, a hard target. So it would be really difficult, for Al-Shabaab to deny this.
They've been operating in the region for over a decade now. From what you're saying, are they getting stronger?
Of course, Al-Shabaab is getting stronger because, what you can see, within Somalia is, you have, the recent president just changing, his security chiefs. And what that has as an effect is you have this gap where the new military chiefs, would then, be able to take over from the old ones. So this also creates a serious problem. And as we know, Turkey has also introduced a new military base, which was just October the 1st. And what that means is, there is a plan by the Somalian government to then pilot out AMISOM, which has been responsible for fighting against Al-Shabaab. So all these different factors, is kind of very, very heavy on the hands of the Somalian government, which is better than the previous administration in terms of how it wants to tackle Al-Shabaab, but it is still weak.
Right,
comparatively.
and I suppose this is a big problem now because the government in Somalia has its fair share of challenges, both economic and political. It's a government that is struggling to assert its control over the entire country. How then do they respond to a group like this, to attacks like this? What needs to change in their counter-terrorism strategy? Of
course, there is much that needs to be done. Previously we've been able to give a lot of advice to government on how to tackle these issues. But the most important thing is for the Somalian government to understand that in order for you to solve the problem of Al-Shabaab, you have to really look at the right problems. So we have put ourselves, in positions where we work with local organizations that it is more important for us to give confidential solutions to the government of Somalia. So if they're interested in actually having to deal with these issues, there is a plethora of issues that needs to be done, and I think, we would be able to advise the government on confidentiality, on the best way to go forward with this.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your analysis with us, David Otto.
Thank you very much.